Hello there and welcome to Herman Manyora's YouTube channel. My name is Jadiel Kabiro. I'm happy that you usually take your time to join us in our political conversations that are simple, truthful, hard-hitting with Professor Herman Manyora. How are you doing today?
Good.
You're fine?
Well, we're fine.
Someone who's, I think, is finer than you is Winnie Odinga. She had this interview on Citizen TV and people are saying she came out strong, she came out eloquent. I don't know what you think about that, this conversation on Yala. First of all, what do you read from that interview when she was speaking about her wanting to separate people to see her from her father, different from her father?
Whereas it is true that she's Raila's daughter and she can benefit from being Raila's daughter, she's her own person. And Raila also has said as much. Raila has said the father was Vice President, Winnie Odinga, but he's also his own man. And it's true. And the same is true of people like Uhuru Kenyatta. The father's name is important, but how many people have greater fathers than those ones and they are nothing? Oh, so, even though you may benefit from being somebody's daughter, like Winnie here, but there must be something in you. Politics is about some fire in the belly. You can't get fire in the belly merely by being Raila's daughter. So Winnie has that fire in the belly. She's her own person.
Our conversation for today is Winnie Odinga. Can she stand out in Kenya's politics? That's what I want to know. Can she take Raila's position, sort of position in our politics? But
I've said that, but before that...
Before you answer that, I want us to talk about EALA, though. Our previous conversation, we called it Raila wrong on Winnie Odinga.
Yes.
I want to know, did you change your mind after you heard her side of the story saying that she worked tirelessly over the year because of this year's election and she deserves some sort of reward, some would say?
I'm not among people who say there were people like Winnie who spoiled Raila's campaign. In fact, I came out strongly saying Winnie was very strong in the campaign. I'm not like those who say she's part of the mess. I have never said that. Now, you must again distinguish between two things I said. One, I said clearly that, in my view, Winnie is more qualified for this job than a host of these people looking for it.
Okay.
I said that. Okay?
Yes.
It came out clear.
Yes, you said the question should be qualification.
In other words, if I were to pick somebody for Yala from the entire list, I'll begin with Winnie and give her the job. In fact, that thing is too small for her. She deserves bigger things. You remember I also said, I can see a Winnie in the future.
Yes.
Who can inherit the father? Some people have called her Indira Gandhi, the former Prime Minister of India. Tough lady. She's that on her own. I've said all those things. But I also said something which I may revise. I said it was not wise for Raila to put Winnie there. And the reasons I gave were, one, it builds into this narrative that Raila wants everything for himself and his family. That narrative. And it does compromise his chances of election in an election. You see, that's what I said.
Yeah.
I also said it was not wise because I thought, because of this first reason of this narrative that Raila is this and the family wants everything, you are spoiling for Winnie, who in my view, and I said this very clearly, has a future in politics. So if we are going to make decisions that are not as wise as this one, in my time, my thinking then was that it was not a wise decision. And therefore, it was in fact not in Winnie's interest. That's what I said.
Yes.
So, get it very clear, I never said Winnie was not capable.
But the question is, you said it was more of a wrong political move.
Yes.
For Raila and for Winnie's future.
But now, if you allow me, I can revise that.
Why so? Why revise? Because of that interview?
I sat at my club with a former member of parliament. I will not mention him because he's also gunning for the same seat.
So let's try to read in between.
You can't manage.
Okay.
He's a former MP. How many former MPs want to be EALA?
Actually, all of them.
Maybe it's only Winnie who is not a former MP. Everybody else is
MP, nominated MPs.
Yeah, stuff of that nature. And he told me one, look, the Raila family has put everything in this campaign. And they got nothing. Would it be asking for too much for a member of the family to get something small like Yala? Just as even a consolation. I thought it made a lot of sense. I think I was being too harsh on Raila for nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are all human beings.
So
you put everything in this thing, then you get nothing out of it. Would it be asking for too much for Winnie to be a EALA member? As a consolation, you know, you go home, you didn't get the prize, like during our days, number 1 gets a book, then number 3 gets a consolation, gets a pencil.
A pen, a pencil, yeah.
So what is wrong with Winnie getting a pencil as a consolation for the Raila? I thought that MP made a lot.
What would you say to some people who go on Twitter and say, even though she deserves a reward, even though she's qualified, it's only because she has the name Odinga there. No, that's the only reason why she's in that list. If it were just somewhere else.
There are many people with names, their father's names, and I've said they have become nothing. We have many examples even in this country of people who inherited their fathers when they died. They became MPs. They made a mess of themselves. Being a father, being somebody's daughter doesn't make you be that person. You must have something in you. So like Winnie is a Winnie because she's Winnie. People like Winnie would be things even if they were not Raila's daughter.
Did you see that fire in that interview?
That fire in her. Yeah.
Tell me though, does she have what it takes to take over Raila's shoes? Because when you look at Raila's family, people are looking for that person who can take over. Raila took on from his father, has done a quite good job for himself and the family and the country. Does Winnie have what it takes? When you look at her, when you've said you know how they do things in the campaign trails. You once spoke about Raila saying how she helped him in social media and image and everything. Does she have what it takes to be a politician in this country?
You know, death is a bad thing. Death robbed Raila of a son who would have inherited him directly, Fidel. Let him rest in peace. But in Winnie, Raila could have somebody who can carry on the family name. In Winnie, the movement that Raila has led for a long time, can have a part of the vanguard. She can provide part of the leadership required to carry on the movement. For the struggle continues. And this struggle is not for the faint-hearted. I'm telling you, if you've seen Winnie, then you can know she can go to the trenches. She can fold her shirt and punch.
Okay.
This war is not for the weak. People who fought more, will tell you, this war is not for the weak. This war requires people who can punch. But I think Winnie can throw a punch.
What do you tell these Azimio supporters who still, she spoke about people trying to sabotage their campaign. And these Azimio supporters, some people who have worked directly with Raila, go to Twitter and say she was part of the people that let Raila down, even though her herself says she did her best and she cannot let her dad down. What do you tell them? Because they come out even after the interview, I think it's Lord Mutai saying that she sounded naive when she spoke about the election day. The campaign team could not do anything more.
You know, after this election went the way it went, people singled out Junet Mohammed, Winnie Odinga, and Joe. I think those three. A bit of Macau Mutua, but mainly those three. And Lord Mutai and I think Donald Kipkuri were on the far front of those who are hitting these three gens. I don't know about Joe, I don't know about Junet. But I would find it difficult to believe that Winnie can compromise that campaign, can do anything to compromise Raila's campaign. I would find it hard. What I could understand, I've never been in that campaign, by the way. This is something many people don't believe. I've never been in Raila's campaign.
Nor his advisor?
No, I've never.
You've been called out as the one who messed
I was not
Raila.
His advisor in this campaign. I was not in the secretariat. I was not part of the team. So I don't know the workings of the Azimio. What I can guess could be, you may be supporting your dad, but maybe you are overbearing. Maybe you are too strong and many people are not used to strong people.
Actually, she said the overprotectiveness is actually a compliment for her. Because she made people, they had a chance to meet Raila outside, but she put some boundaries.
People may think they want to own the candidate. So there must be somebody who can sort of create some boundaries, create some space for the candidate so that the candidate can also breathe. Because if you don't have that protective ring, then the people just play with the candidate. So if Winnie was playing that role, certainly she'll make many enemies.
And there needs to be someone to play that role.
Yes, the someone does play that role. Otherwise, if everybody is going to access Raila or Ruto, then what are we talking about? There won't be a campaign. It will be shambolic.
Early today, UDA came up with a list. Out of their nominated list, they came up with 5 people that now they are pushing to parliament. We expect the same from Azimio, specifically ODM. What do you think they should consider when coming up with the final list to be presented in parliament, even after they are now lobbying happening in parliament? What should they look at? Because there are names like Shabal, who people say should not be there. Winnie, you've talked about her. What should they look at?
It's very difficult. You know, the problem in this country, people view everything as a job, as a source for money, as a source perhaps for power. But rarely do we ask ourselves, what does EALA membership mean? What is the challenge facing the East African community today? As we expand, DRC is now part of us. As we keep expanding, what are the challenges? What is the elephant in the room? We need men and women who have the courage to push this cooperation and integration to its final conclusion. We are being exploited by Europe and America and the rest, and China. Yet, if we spoke as one voice, as people of the East African region, even in terms of trade with Europe, it will not be in the favor of the foreigners alone. It will be mutual. Today, we are being exploited because we are divided. And therefore, I'm saying the East African community requires men and women at the assembly level who have the knowledge, the conviction, and the courage to make us go to the final stage of this cooperation. That includes a common currency and big things bigger than that. So that's why you find people like Winnie would feel they're very strong.
Yeah, you've reminded me of what she talked about the United States, saying they're playing us like virtual reality and PlayStation, saying they interfered on a scale of 1 to 10, calling it 13. Yeah. Is this the spirit we need in EALA?
We need people in EALA who can look power in the eyes. When the UK, there's that problem between UK and EU, which plays out in some trade agreements with us here. And we are just, when we say we want to promote our industries and we need certain tariffs in place, and this must be an East African issue. We have countries like Kenya chickening out, like in terms of the Mitumba, Rwanda saying, yes, we will not listen to these people. We are going to increase the tariffs to discourage Mitumba, create more textiles, and Kenya. So we need people in the East African community who can speak tough and look at America in the eyes and tell them, this is in your interest. There are single evidence of us benefiting from these deals. They are your deals, and we in East African region will not allow you to play this game in the 21st century the way it was played 200 years ago in your interest. So that's how people like Winnie come in.
Maybe finally I'd want to talk about Raila and this backlash he has received, the family, this hate that people are showing them for nominating Winnie. Can they recover from this? Will they recover? Because remember we did a conversation on Odingaism, and people just think they do what they want. The family think they are in control of ODM. And Azimio, we talked about ODM versus Jubilee. Will they recover from this?
Is a strong man. Raila is a strong man. And Raila has recovered from many things. Actually, he has weathered many storms. This to Raila is something in a teacup. If you are calling it a storm, it's in a teacup. For Raila, this is a small matter. There are bigger things that Raila has handled. But some of us who are genuine in terms of wanting good for Raila and for this country, for people like Ruto, whenever I speak from the inside of my heart. And I say, we can offer advice. We can look at things and say, they could have been done better. Yeah. Maybe they listen and the next time they can do things better. Maybe they don't and they know how they are doing. And therefore, things like this one of Winnie. First, Winnie will win this seat.
She will, tomorrow. Even though there are senators from the UDA saying they will not look at the second name, they will make sure they critic and they look at this list.
Let me tell you,
the likes of
if in the remaining hours, 24 hours or less, or more, whatever, if KK, they are called Kenya Kwanza, UDA, and the Ruto Brigade, if they listen to me, they will vote for Winnie. And let me tell you why. Since you are enjoying this narrative of bashing Raila, bashing Raila and saying he's selfish, you know. Then why don't you maintain that narrative by giving Willie? Because if you don't give her, then the narrative dies.
Oh.
Yeah. It is in your interest to maintain the narrative of a Raila who is great, if you wish, by giving Winnie. But if you don't give her, because they have the capacity to deny her, you know that.
Yes.
Yeah, because they're voting the way it goes in parliament. Then they will be the losers. But finally, and on a more serious note, we are telling people in this country, support William Ruto if he's doing the right thing. Criticize him if he's doing the wrong thing. That's what somebody like him is doing. If Ruto succeeds, this country succeeds. All of us will benefit. And we are telling Kenyans, let us learn to get the best people for every job and assignment we have. And let us support everybody who must be supported. So if you are looking for the right person for the East African community, and we have started that stage in this country where we are leaving elections behind us, and we are asking Rigathi Gachagua to be with us, we are leaving matters of election. And supporting Ruto where he's doing a good thing. Even if he appointed good people, we would support those people. If they are wrong, we'll tell him who you are for equal minister. So if in that spirit of constructive engagement, constructive criticism, supporting those which must be supporting, moving Kenya forward, in that spirit, even Kenya Kwanza should know that on the list of people who want to go to the East African community, none is ahead of Winnie, and therefore they should vote for her.
Maybe this is a good place to wrap up, but for the first time you've revised and you've said, looking at things,
I revised
with the knowledge you...
I must be allowed to repeat that. I have revised because I was a little hard on Raila, thinking he shouldn't have done that. It was not wise. But now having listened to this MP, I said, it makes a lot of point. Here is a family that has put everything in this campaign, and then they have got out of that campaign with nothing. Will it be asking for too much for them to get a pencil, a consolation, is it a consolation prize,
a
pencil, by way of Winnie being Yala MP? Something smaller than this for the family. At least they may not celebrate, they may not ululate, but at least they can throw some small champagne and cheers. To Winnie Odinga in EALA.
In EALA.
Yes.
And you say she's qualified.
We can't deny them that.
You say she's also qualified.
Yeah, we can't deny them that. Especially for a qualified person like that.
Yeah. Thank you so much for tuning into a conversation. Winnie Odinga, does she have what it takes to succeed Raila? Until we do talk again, have yourself a lovely rest of your day.